I'm not a big sketcher. For my day job, I'm not relying on drawing and drawing and drawing. So it becomes more of a sort of stress reliever or practice to do something else instead of just regular designing, regular job. It's more a distraction, a welcome distraction. There is an urge to do it, and it has been a companion for many years. And yeah, I don't think I will stop doing it. It's a time capsule. It's like a document of your emotions, of your all sorts of struggles in a way, because your emotion is represented in the lines, in the sort of the choppiness or the smoothness or the velocity, the dynamism of the line. So I have here it's just a notebook where generally just information goes when I take notes, but because sometimes we're bored, sometimes we have time to idle. I just make little scribbles in it, because I realized I actually enjoy to organize little squares, to find arrangement of elements, to prove that I could put some hierarchy in just a few lines. I decided to put this into an actual practice then on the iPad, where I regularly are confronted with a frame and I'm trying to solve it visually. This becomes more of a personal practice that is not dictated by anyone. I'm always fascinated by that our eye is pleased with a certain arrangement or certain weight or certain position of elements in a frame, and is displeased by another, meaning that there are very clear rules to organizing a space or a square. And I being fascinated, and it doesn't cost me much more cognitive strength after a day of work. I can shut down my brain and just let myself wander and clear it. Almost like playing Sudoku. You don't really think about things. You just look at the numbers and they kind of arrange themselves in a sort of an autopilot way. It gives me momentum to actually then do actual work. It just gives me almost that confidence of just warming up in a way, just succeeding in the small task of composing a frame with dots and lines, to then approach the next big task, to just think about the big world relation or narrative and stuff like that. So it's almost like getting the motor hot. But oppositely, when work is done, just letting it cool off too. I brought my iPad, where I have a Procreate file where I usually always open up. So here, just similar to this, and that just takes more concrete shapes when it's about just taking the learnings of the little thumbnails and applying the same rules of hierarchy, scale, so depth, just through organizing those lines. So here, a landscape. There's nothing much to say other than where in the picture do I put emphasis through lines, where I don't. Here, something else, just to think about.
You draw that on the spot?
Yeah, everything is just in one go, one sitting. There's no bigger planning other than it has to make sense. So if I look at it, I shouldn't have the feeling it's broken, it's missing, it's unbalanced, it can't stand by its own. Here, another one where the subject matter is simple, but every element tries to support the same effort, to balance, to intrigue. Sudoku is a good comparison because there is only a set amount of numbers that will work, and I believe there's only a certain amount of places I can put details once the initial numbers are set, or initial shapes. Sudoku is math, and geometry is math, and I'm sure there's an algorithm for human taste too. I always try to attack it differently and not relying always on the same patterns, and oftentimes I would just look at stuff in front of me, just from where I grown up, or where I'm in the moment, where life is not ideal. There's things that are misplaced in an ideal way. So I take that and I say, okay, what can I as a designer do to bring order to the chaos of natural? Sometimes it doesn't work. Some pieces, they never find the balance, and I abandon them because I cannot just steer the ship to make fully sense of it. Some do. I tend to be very sort of environment focused, just because I'm basically an environment artist, or have been. So I leave away the characters to someone else. Like, I'm from the mountains, so everything that has a lot of elevation or just gives many layers of depth. It over time it got more sophisticated, where I want to, just by using lines to drag me into the image. What are the devices to just physically make me really want to go in there? There is a certain force that happens when the composition is right. There's something that drags you into the image. There's something that you feel the tension, where if it doesn't happen, there's not. So I work as long as I have it, and then I can abandon it, because then the little square with numbers is full. And sometimes I would just go on Google Street View, find a place I like. The good starting point, I just want to see how I can organize this more specifically, so that I get that drag, that force that pushes you in the image, or that makes the forms almost sharp and cutting to produce sort of visual excitement that makes it worthwhile. Because there's no story, but there's something that triggers attention, which is part of why we draw, isn't it? And I think this part of the mystery of design is being concrete enough to know what it is, but abstract enough to give it an unexpected twist to the things. So it's the stairs are not really stairs, but they are clear that they are, and the appeal is of, oh, there are stairs, but he didn't even make stairs. Yeah. And I think that goes for every creative discipline too. Like, if you're surprising with your movie making, that the camera motion is unexpected, but it makes fully sense for the subject matter, then I want to believe it's. And some are successful, some not. Now in hindsight, I believe it's way too flat. There's no vibration if I compare this to the other before. It's like this, I can feel it that this is a successful arrangement, and this, while it should be what it is, but it has not, and especially not accurate perspective, but so inaccurate that it still makes sense to the viewer. That's it's a thin line to walk here. I started doing always the same character, almost like asking myself, what kind of figure would wander this exaggerated world? What kind of character would not be distracting to? This G-man is with the suitcase and the hat is around, and it's not only landscapes. Like, I think the older I get, the more like mechanical things. That's like a very man type of. I don't know. It's just the older I get, the more attracted I get to the mill, the machine, the metallic. So it's sometimes I would just try to make a motorcycle along those lines, that it's abstract enough to be surprising, but recognizable still to make sense to the viewer. Just whatever tractor I designed here.
But those are like from imagination.
Yeah. I mean, clearly, because so functional value is zero. So here just more fill rather than lines, but just figuring out how can I position things where I know exactly how to focus, but everything else doesn't tip over. And I try, if it's just lines, I try to get it out in a couple of hours, or an hour, or 20 minutes. It's the moment I start it's like feeling the time. I need to stop because they're meant to just be. It has to be a session. This is not a project. It's an expression of the moment, and also it stays true to the, as I said, the momentary emotional state. If I feel particularly energized, I can see that in that moment, and I don't want to lose that. Because as a time capsule for 2022, when I felt gloomy and mysterious, that's what happens to the tractor. So yeah, I have done a big series of mountains, colored mountains. That I'm gonna go to the beginning where. I come from the north of Italy, so in the Alps and the Dolomites, and I left to study, and now I left for the US. So every couple of months I would make a mountain that I knew, that I loved, where I went to ski a million times, but would always put a face on it. They are your first friends because they are the biggest entities you can see, and you dream as a kid that those are big giants. And so all those mountains, sometimes they're friendly, sometimes they're not, but they always are an expression of oneself. So I call it self-portraits as mountains, because they're all me, but I'm not always the same. Here is not a mountain, it's a cloud, because I remember probably a time where I was in Vienna, probably not particularly happy, but there's also arrangement and simplicity, because those need to go in one go. So those are 1 hour, 2 hours, and that's it. And we are talking here maybe 2010, something like that. Oh. Maybe a little older. Some older, some less old. And some go back to just half a year ago. Here's a more recent one when I felt more sophisticated, and I had a better handle on certain things, and maybe on how to paint, how to.
So do you think the mountains tell the story of your life, like?
Yeah.
Certain moments.
100%. I'm not sure. I might not have them here, but I moved to New York to work a couple of years ago before going to Los Angeles, and I really didn't like it. It was a city that had me in a struggling position, and so all the hardships clearly are somewhat reflected there, where the mountain is just almost impaled by the bridges. Is no longer in nature and happy, and so I cherish them a lot because they're the ultimate snapshot. Because even the way I would paint and how nervous the line would be, and I mean, this was a train ride, so that there is some sort of emotion. This is me complaining there's no snow in that year, and just fire, and it's way too hot, and there's. So the connecting is always the mountain, but sometimes I would just do an avalanche, just with the face. A particularly happy moment. Speed is momentum, is avalanche means just we're going fast, and no, there's no danger here. This is good times, and sometimes they're rocky times, but you stand strong. Like here, this mountain is the rock in the storm, and you're not gonna falter, even though there's the sea, the storm, everything is but the rock, no. And they started something like this. I always want to. It's enough with a big brush saying, okay, how did I feel? And maybe this time it's like this has been a very shitty day, and it's like I'm really mad, and the clouds always play a role because they're sort of a framing device. For the clouds and mountains are related. They always interplay. It's a little bookmark for where I come from too. A small town in the Italian Dolomites where I might be back one day. Sometimes makes me sad.
Really because you feel because you miss it. Or...
Yeah, that's true. It's family. So I have many more. I might have like 60 or 100 of those, but most of them are positive because many good things has happened to me. So this is sort of a mission I have to keep track of things.
Pick one, and can you draw something on it?
I'll draw a mountain.
Good.
A square. Because I need to think, I need boundaries. Yeah, I'll. This is one of those little mountains with the pine trees. Because there's no mountains without pine trees. It will definitely be happy because Tichu has never failed to give me inspiration and sort of catching up with old friends and good times. And so I don't expect to be lots of hardship expressed here, especially with the nice hotel room I have. So it's just big smile. Then obviously some clouds. Yeah, clouds. Yeah, they have to touch. It's almost like the hairstyle of a mountain is. Okay, I think I'm gonna take the thick one for a second. Because I can. I'm a big ski and snowboarding fan, and so the winter there has to be snow. Even ideally whole year, so that would be a glacier. But if it's just the winter, I think it's fine too. All right, I think this can be my happy mountain.
Okay, so put that sketchbook aside and sign. Cool, done.
Nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, I hope there's something usable. The older I get, it's truly like affects me to talk about it. It's like I had to struggle a second about the mountains.
Really?
Yeah, it's funny. Like it feels like almost pathetic, but I made an animation of a mountain story, just a very quick one.
Nice.
It's
Yeah. It sounds like the cycle.
yeah, exactly. So,
Really cool.
yeah.
Yeah.